This is Chip Maxwell, and you're listening to the Retire Smart podcast with David Brooks. Overregulation and inflation keep climbing upwards, particularly for California, where in some areas eggs have reached the price of $9 per dozen. The housing supply in the U.S. has jumped to a 4-year high, but more homes than usual sit unsold. And lastly, we're back yet again with another potential round of East Coast port strikes. David explains the potential outcomes of these events. Well, David, as always, we're going to get to the news, but I want to remind people we kind of had a lull during the holidays, but here comes the parade starting this week with our most popular class, the estate planning in retirement. More on that in the second segment. Colin Kastrick, the estate planning attorney with whom we partner, is going to join us. But, David, we're offering more than 150 classes, workshops, events over the course of this year. And sometimes people ask me, why? Why do you? These are all no charge, no obligation. These things aren't generating revenue for your firm. Why the seemingly endless array of classes and workshops and so forth, David?
Well, it just comes down to how we believe financial planning should really work. One, there's firms that will create you this financial plan and then print out a big, thick book with 130 pages or something in it in this really nice embossed leather binder, and you put it on the shelf, and what happened to my financial plan? I don't know. Have never looked at it again, and most of them have never read maybe 3 or 4 pages of it. We believe that financial planning is an ongoing piece, right? And there's different factors that come into play for our clients. And so we do education around all the key areas. And we have 5 main broader areas that we believe it needs to be included for a successful holistic plan. So we get to invite our clients, and of course we do invite the general public, and selfishly sometimes that's how we'll acquire new clients. In the end, it is a form of marketing, and we have no problem saying that, but it's really to educate our clients. So when we have a client maybe that's turned 64, we have an alert in our system, we send them the notice, hey, the Medicare class is going to be offered this month, et cetera, and that's who we want to attend because it's going to be their first time making a very critical decision when it comes to things like healthcare. All of our clients need to attend the estate planning class at some point or the other, and we have so many. That's why we offer it so many times during the year. Same thing with Social Security. Once you're 62, we want to start inviting you to the Social Security classes because each year thereafter you have the option, if you choose, to turn on this benefit. And we have some new classes coming out this year. This past year we added digital assets. We added a planned giving class on charitable giving. We've got some advanced estate planning classes that we're going to be doing later this year. We have some classes specifically for entrepreneurs and business owners. And the great news is we've added to our stable of advisors as well. So actually this week we just had some great new talent join the firm as well. And over time they will be, learn to become kind of some of the presenters in these areas. And so nobody can have all the perfect information. And so what we do is this team environment where we have, the resident authority on all these different specific topics that we can put together the best absolute best plan for the client.
I think I saw a class on federal benefits too on the calendar.
Yeah, so we've really been taking on a lot of clients that are federal employees, and there may be a lot more of those in the coming year that are unemployed based on some hyperbole from Doge, if you will. So those folks really need to pay attention, and there's a lot of decisions when you're a federal employee. There's quite a bit there, SIRS and FERS. There's 2 different acronyms that we kind of follow, but we have specific software just for those employees as well. So yeah, lots of opportunity to educate people. And again, people can come in any one of these classes. We have clients that they may not affect them, but they can come. Absolutely.
Well, and some of these events are just for clients, but one other footnote, the state of the market, your tour de force presentation on the year that was and the year to come, in February, we're going to invite a certain number of non-clients, general public. So keep listening. You can get on the wait list now for that if you want, 402-369-7777, the annual State of the Market address. It coincides with the State of the Union address. And so we'd love to see you there, but don't dally. Go ahead and get on the waiting list now.
Well, and we always try to find unique venues for this every year. A couple years ago, we did we were
out at
Stratcom Museum, which was awesome. Last year, we actually did it at the Country Club near where I live. But it keeps growing. So this year, we've leased the Durham Museum for this presentation. So again, if you'd like to get on that list, don't dally. Get in here and get on the wait list.
No, you can tour the museum too for free as part part of attending the event. All right, into the news we go, David, and you sent me something from Fox Business. Egg prices in California reach $9 per dozen in some areas. Are these golden eggs? Are these magical eggs? What's the story here, David?
Yeah, you think that these would be gold-plated or something, right? But that's just what's going on with overregulation and inflation, right? A couple of factors are combining in there. And so people in certain parts of California are having to pay over $9. And we're not talking about going to a specialty store, a Trader Joe's or Whole Foods. This is Walmart's
in Chico.
pricing, right?
Yes,
yeah,
that's
this
one
is
of the
Walmart that is pricing a dozen of eggs. And it bogs my mind. So on our farm in Northern Virginia that during high school we lived on, we had about 200 chickens and a lot of fresh eggs, and we would gather them, and that's how we got gas money. We sold them to all the neighbors that all had these 5-acre parcels around our 100 and some acres on the way out to the state highway, and so that was my gas money. I'd collect eggs and sell them for $1 a dozen, and sometimes I felt like I had to put a sales job on. Come on, they're farm fresh. You can't get any better. Just $1, and people were like, $1. That was because eggs you could buy at the store for like 89 cents or whatever back then, and now $9 a dozen. Man, I'd be cashing in. But yeah, that's just one more problem with the Bidenomics that we've been facing. And again, inflation over the last 4 years is up 22.8% on just about all household items you have to buy.
The story cites a bird flu epidemic that broke out a couple of years ago, but you're saying there's more to it than that. The economic fundamentals are wrong.
Yeah, and I can just tell you the way they've shut down what you can produce. I actually have a very good friend that had a very large, his family inheritance. This is about a $40 million operation that was sold, but in Northern California and Southern Oregon, they were one of the largest egg producers on the West Coast, and they sold their business. This is a 5th-generation family business simply because the regulations were almost impossible to continue operating.
Here's another Fox Business headline, David. Seems counterintuitive. Housing supply jumps to 4-year high, but it's not all great news. Why is it not great news that there's affordable housing out there for people?
Because the houses that are already listed are not selling, right?
Oh, okay. So the market is actually stalling.
That's what's happening. This morning we got the number of the amount of realtors. So realtor, right, is not just because you're licensed real estate, but you pay to be part of that national organization. Okay. Agree to their ethics committee. My wife was one for many years, right? But the realtors, those that were willing to pay dues in 2025, and they lost 26,000 members in December alone. That said, you know what, maybe not. We've had more licensed agents, et cetera, in a while because the housing market was on fire for a while. A lot of people, I'll get in. And it's a very tough way to make a living right now. Somebody that's their full-time employment. But the amount of supply coming, everyone said, hey, we're going to have supply. I even told you last year, supply is going to increase. It might help relieve. But no, interest rates are north of 7% for a 30-year mortgage as we sit here today, and people simply cannot afford. On top of that, the homeowner's insurance is up 56% the last 2 years, right? Your taxes, we keep talking about here in Nebraska, keep going up. So the cost, the affordability, even for a starter home, is so far out of whack from what the median income was just 5 years ago. And it's the housing market's going to go through a pretty severe correction for everything reverts to the mean, right? And so I assume you're going to see much more inventory continue to pile up here in the near future.
David, you sent the team a chart about, you said East Coast port strikes are a possibility again back on the table the middle of this month, and we've got a map on the screen for viewers. For listeners, could you give them a sense of the possible sweep of these strikes and then what it means or could mean economically?
So this is ports all the way down the East Coast and around into the Gulf of America? Maybe changing names, the Gulf of Mexico.
Formerly known as Mexico?
Yeah. Okay. But all these ports are kind of affiliated. And so if you remember, they went on strike back in September, and then they negotiated, and the current administration went in and tried to help negotiate, and they were trying to, union shops do typically lean to the left with the Democratic leadership, et cetera. And so they tried to placate, and they got a temporary deal done. But if you remember, we talked about this a couple months ago on the show, that deal expires January 15th. Well, that's just in a few days, Chip. And now they're threatening again. And again, it's crazy that we have no automation or very little automation at our ports compared to the modernization of ports around the globe. And that is due to the unions wanting insanely high labor rates, and they want to use people to do what machines should be doing. And again, this is where I get it. Unions have had a real good reason to exist in a lot of industries for periods of time. But here they are stopping progress, and they are harming the American consumer considerably with what they're going to hold hostage to. And we're going to have to see some changes here. But this reminds me, this may be Trump's kind of Reagan-esque move. If you remember the airline controller strike when Reagan first, the air traffic controllers, excuse me, when Reagan first came into office, and if you remember, bye, firing them all, and things got worked out. But again, the American consumer is not going to put up with this type of stuff with the condition of what they're having to pay for goods and services. But this may disrupt the economy significantly.
Thank you for listening to the Retire Smart podcast with David Brooks. If you want to learn how to generate lifetime income, reduce your tax bill, and maintain your lifestyle in retirement, visit retiresmartpodcast.com. And make sure to subscribe to keep up with new episodes every week.